Hello everyone, welcome to Biolation. In this video, we are going to talk about the diversity of living organism, that is biodiversity. So what are the learning objectives of this video? So in this video, we are going to learn about the characteristics of living organisms, a brief idea about biodiversity, what is biological classification, what are the needs for classification, and the three systems of classification. So let's begin. All diverse things on this planet are divided into living and non-living, and living beings are called the organisms and are defined as a complex unit of psychophysical materials that are capable of growth, reproduction, metabolism, ability to sense the environment as well as to react to the environment. So let us try to understand each of these unique characteristics one by one. So living organisms grow. Living organisms grow in mass and number. A multicellular organism increases its mass by cell division. In plants, growth continues throughout life in their meristematic area, but in animals, growth occurs to a certain age. Unicellular organisms also grow by cell division. Living organisms show internal growth due to the addition of materials and formation of cells inside the body. Next, reproduction is a characteristics of living organisms. So reproduction is the formation of new individuals of the similar kind. Reproduction is not essential for the survival of the individuals, but it is needed for the perpetuation of the population. In sexual reproduction, two parents are involved to produce more or less similar kinds of individuals, whereas in asexual reproduction, single parent is involved and individual is the copy of the parent. Asexual reproduction may occur by fission, fragmentation, regeneration, vegetative propagation, etc. In unicellular organisms, growth and reproduction are the synonyms. And there are many organisms like mules, sterile worker bees, infertile human couples, they do not reproduce. Therefore, reproduction is not an all-inclusive characteristics of living organism. However, no living object has the power to reproduce or replicate. Next, metabolism is also an important characteristics of life. The sum total of all types of chemical reactions occurring in an individual due to specific interaction amongst the different types of molecules in the interior of the cells is called metabolism. Now, all activities of an organism, including the growth, movements, development, reproduction, etc., are all due to metabolism. And there are two types of metabolism: catabolism and anabolism. In catabolism, breakdown reactions are involved, such as respiration, digestion, etc. And in case of anabolism, the building of reactions occur to increase the mass of organisms, like photosynthesis. So no non-living object show metabolism. So metabolism is the unique property of living organisms. Next, living beings have a cellular organization. All living organisms, starting from the simple to highly complex ones, are made up of one or more cells, similar in basic structure and functions. Hence, cellular organization of the body is a defining feature of the living forms. Now next, all living organism has consciousness. So consciousness is also an important characteristics of living organisms. So consciousness is the awareness of the surroundings and responding to external stimuli. External stimuli may be physical, chemical, or biological. Plants also respond to stimuli like light, water, gravitation, pollution, etc. all living organisms, prokaryotic to the eukaryotic, responds to different kinds of stimuli. Human being is only organism who is aware of himself. Consciousness therefore becomes the defining property of living organisms. Now, what do we mean by biodiversity? The term biodiversity refers to the variety of living organisms. It is the occurrence of variety of life forms which differ in morphology, size, color, anatomy, habitats and habits. Currently, there are 1.7 to 1.8 million of species of living organism which is known to the science. And out of this, about 1.2 million are animal species and 0.5 million are the plant species. Now, what do we mean by biological classification? So, biological classification is the process by which living organisms are grouped into easily identifiable groups or categories based on some observable characteristics. And the scientific term which is used for these categories is taxa. For example, plants, animals, bacteria, etc. are all included in separate categories or taxa. Now, why do we need biological classification? We need biological classification for some reasons, and these reasons are: it makes the study of different organisms very convenient. It facilitates the identification of the organisms. It shows the relationship among the various groups of organisms. It helps in interpreting the poorly developed structures of the fossil organisms. And the study of a few representative of a group gives the general characteristics of that group as a whole. There are three main systems of biological classification: artificial system, natural system, and phylogenetic system of classification. Artificial system of classification. The artificial scheme of classification was based on some superficial characteristics or superficial similarities. In this method, animals were classified on the basis of habitats such as land, air, and water. On the basis of flying ability, animals were divided into two categories: animals which can fly and animals which cannot fly, but it could not differentiate between the birds, insects, or bats. On the basis of habit, plants were classified into herbs, shrubs, and trees. On the basis of lifespan, plants were classified as annuals, biennials, and perennials. And on the basis of nutrition, plants were classified as epiphytes, saprophytes, and parasites. Next comes the natural system of classification. The natural system of classification was proposed by John Gray. The natural system of classification is based on natural affinities or the relationship among the organisms. It includes not only the external but also the internal features like ultrastructure, anatomy, morphology, and cytochemistry. This system avoids the grouping of heterogeneous and unrelated organisms. Next, phylogenetic system of classification. Now, this phylogenetic word has arisen from phylogeny. So, what is phylogeny? The evolutionary history of a particular species is called the phylogeny. And the classification of the organisms based on the basis of evolution is called evolutionary or the phylogenetic classification. Now, in the system of phylogenetic system of classification, organisms are classified on the basis of their evolution on the earth from the primitive to the highly evolved ones. Now, fossils have a vital role in providing the evolutionary relationship.